I'm going to record this now so people know. Okay, your 2 freebie lessons. Dos.
Gracias.
Next week, same day, Tuesday, same time, 9:30 a.m. You'll get your first freebie lesson. When that second freebie lesson is going to depend on what Scottsdale does with my schedule. So, perdón. Yeah. Pardon me. I am hoping to keep it the same time, but I just don't know. Okay. The time may have to shift to a different time, but next week, Tuesday, will work. Okay. And the reason I want you guys to do that is that, and you can still sign up for the step 2 class on Monday mornings. It's just that those of you who don't know anything about verbs, it might be a little bit baffling, that first class, because you'll be like, what are these people using? Actually, the first class probably wouldn't be too baffling, but okay. Vale, magnifico. What I want to make sure is that you guys have the 2 sessions on verbs and how to use verbs, because that is super important. For a lot of people, it is super intimidating because it's like memorizing those, the ser verb, the forms of ser, the forms of estar, the forms of tener. Basically, you need to do that with all verbs, but the good news is that a lot of these verbs will follow a predictable pattern. And that is what I will want you to prep for between the end of today's class and the beginning of next Tuesday. Okay. So that next Tuesday we can actually practice that. Today, however, today we're going to do a little bit of practice with higher numbers and a lot of work with adjectives, those 2 big topics, bigger numbers and adjectives, adjetivos. And I'll probably be able to give you a little bit of some practice with a website called WordWall that probably will, I think they've already got some pre-done exercises that I can find and send you to. So I'll put that in the recap. Okay. Fantástico. Vamos a empezar con esto. We're going to start with these numbers just to see as a recap, warm up. Ejercicio de calentar, a warm-up exercise. A warm-up exercise, this is going to be for the higher numbers. We're going to do a short dictation, a dictado with these higher numbers, and just a little bit with beyond the hundreds. So we're looking at the 100, 150, 175, 180, etc. Okay, a little bit with that. And also we're going to do some practice, see if you can give us some higher numbers in the hundreds and then higher numbers with prices. We'll see if you can figure out the prices, okay? And with these numbers, los números, the most important thing for you to be able to do is to recognize the digit in your brain when we say a number. Connect the name for that number with how you would represent it as a digit. Okay, because people will tell you prices, room numbers, all kinds of things related to numbers, and to recognize that from listening is the really most important skill. Okay, vamos a practicar aquí. Tenemos, por ejemplo, I'm going to go through some of these things they filled in as examples, and then we're going to look at some of these little fake math problems below. Por ejemplo, 120, 120, 121, 122, 140, 140, 140, ¿sí? 141, 150, 152. Vale, ¿entienden? Understand that so far? ¿Sí? Vale, bien. We are using 100 and then recycling the 2-digit numbers. So let's see if we can figure out some addition problems. We're going to look at the answer of the addition or the subtraction problem. We only have one subtraction. the actual numbers. So we're not going to be looking at building how do you say a math problem, because you don't need to know that. We're looking for the answer. So they give us the answer, 135, 135. See? So we're going to be looking at 148. ¿Cómo se dice? How do you say? ¿Cómo se dice 148?
148.
148. Muy bien, muy bien. Excelente. 148. One minus problem. 190 menos 6. We want 100.
84.
Excelente. Sí, sí. Correcto, correcto. 184. 184. Fantástico. Bien. 120 más. Más is what these for plus. Más means more. 120 más 40. 160. ¿Cómo se dice 160?
160.
160. 160. Excelente. 160. ¿Cómo se dice 118? Because if I say that problem, you already get the answer.
118.
118. 118. Muy bien. 50 más 50 más 50.
150.
150. 150. 150. Excelente. ¿Cómo se dice 172? 172. And I heard Tues, so I know you guys got the 70. 172. Excelente. ¿Cómo se dice 188 menos 88? We want just now. We want 100, the shorty word. Yeah, we take the to off of ciento when it's just 100. That's the only one that gets that shortened number name of 100. Yeah. Now, this is one of those things. It's an NBD, a no big deal. If you said ciento instead of 100, would people understand you? Absolutely, yes, they would. They're just waiting for more. If they hear ciento, they're like, and? Well, 158, 128, yeah, 127. Yeah, they're waiting for more if they hear ciento, because they think there's more coming later on. But so, will they understand you? Yes. But do know that 100 is that shorty item. Okay, we're going to do a quick dictado. Grab a piece of paper, and I got to take my stop share off. Otherwise, I'm going to read the numbers off, and you'll see all the answers. That defeats the purpose. Okay, aquí vamos. Here we go. I'm just going to say some quickie numbers, and I think we're only going to do about 5 of these today. Yeah, we're going to do the first 5 just to make it a little bit shorter, in the interest of time, because we got a great big lesson here. Okay, and just write down, not in words, but in digits, the number you hear me say. Número 1. 192. 192. And if you heard it real speed, it would be 192. We'll go that fast. Yeah. Número 2. 134. 134. And real speed would be 134. Número 3. Número 3. 161. 161. And real speed would be 161. Número 4. 185. 185. 185. Bien. Y por fin, número 5, 148. 148. And real speed would be 148. Vale, bien. I will show you what the answers are. Hopefully you get at least 4 out of 5 of them. They're the ones on the left, a la izquierda, the ones on the left. We didn't do the ones on the right in interest of time. And hopefully, yay, sí, hicieron bien. 5 por 5, magnífico, excelente. Oh, let's see if you can give me the numbers on the right. Un voluntario, a volunteer for 127. Somebody tell me the 127. Alguien, somebody.
127.
Excelente, 127. Muy bien, muy bien. ¿Cómo se dice 173?
173.
Excelente. Bueno, Heather, sí. 173. ¿Cómo se dice 115?
115.
15.
15, exacto, 115. Muy bien. ¿Cómo se dice 105?
105.
105, and we'll leave off the E.
Oh.
We don't, normally you need an E when you got that, but because it's 155, it's just 105. Again, it's an NBD, no big deal. If you say 105, because somebody will understand you, but it'll sound just a little off to them. 105. Okay, bien, vale. ¿Y cómo se dice 156?
156.
156. Muy bien. Okay, vale, muy bien. Let's take a look at some bigger numbers. I think I had sent you this so that you had that as a reference, right? We need to look at bigger numbers here. And you know what? You don't need to know millions and hundreds of millions, and you're not going to use that. I mean, if you want to practice it because you're diligent, fine. But, realistically, unless you're working in a very specialized financial field, you don't need things that go into multiple thousands or millions. Okay, so as a tourist, as somebody who's just on vacation having fun, you're going to be looking at, hundreds are useful because depending on the monetary unit, there are a lot of times when you will need to know the hundreds numbers. If you're especially buying things in pesos, it can go into hundreds and thousands pretty easily for Mexican pesos or for really any other country's monetary unit. So doesn't mean you're buying a car. Their monetary units are different than ours, and the valuation to the dollar is different than ours. So just know that for many of the hundreds, but not all of them, but many of them, minus that one that you see in bold, we are usually building on that 1 through 10 pattern. Okay, so you take the number of hundreds will be the 1 through 10 number, and then we have our cientos tagged onto the end of it. So we have 200, 300, 400. And here's the odd one that doesn't follow the pattern, 500. And think of the word keen. Okay, if you start off with keen, you're good. 500, 500. That breaks the pattern. That's the hard one out of the hundreds pattern. And then we go back to the pattern of, say, cientos, 600s. Yeah, we're just combining the two words. 700, 800, and 900, because with nueve, the UE out of nueve, 9, we get rid of that UE, we change it into an O. So 900 for 900. And the thousands are pretty easy because mil, 1,000. And unlike the hundreds numbers where you need multiple, you need to make things plural, with the 1,000 number, you can hear it in miles, but that's kind of a different story. I don't want to get into the weeds with that. In general, if you're giving thousands, it will always be mil, and it'll be the number in front of mil. So 2,000, 20,000, 10,000, 40,000, 40,000, 50,000, 50,000, like that. So, beyond that, you don't really need to know a whole lot about millones because you won't be dealing with that as a general rule. But let's take a look at these numbers and see if we can practice these. We're going to practice them just in the masculine version because, for prices, that's what we need. And we're not going to get into those, multiple thousand ones. We're going to do the top tiers out of this chart. We're going to start a la izquierda, on the left, 245. ¿Cómo se dice 245?
245.
Perfecto. 245. 245. Bien. Vale, muy bien. ¿Cómo se dice 412?
400.
2.
12. Yeah,
Doce.
we just tag on the 12. Yeah. We just tag on the 12. We don't need an E, just 412. Bien. 412. They give us the next one, 632. Okay, let's look at 791.
691.
Okay, bien. 700. 700. Normally we use siete. We have an siete, siete. We take the letter I out of that word siete to make the 700. 700. 700. Yeah, sí, 700. Okay, let's look at the a la derecha, on the right. We're going to look at the top right-hand side. A la derecha, 330. ¿Cómo se dice 330?
330.
30. Bien, sí. 330. 330. Bien. 330. And remember that 30, I know 30 kind of sometimes throw those enta words. That enta ending in an a, that a doesn't mean feminine. It's just the number. It's just a number. 30, right? 30. And it doesn't go into a trente or a trento. Okay, that number thing will not be masculine or feminine. It's just 30. Okay, 590. ¿Cómo se dice 590?
590.
500. And do we need an E?
No.
We don't need, we
no,
don't need that word E.
590.
590.
590.
Right. So notice here what that we have with 800, and they put it in a feminine form because they were just doing masculine on one side, feminine on the other. But normalmente 840. Notice there's no E there. We don't really need an E. We've got a 0 as the last placeholder there. So we don't need any E anywhere in that sequence. Here we needed an E right across from it, the 632, because we had something higher than 0 in this last number place. So we needed an E. 632. But 840. 923. 923. ¿Cómo se dice? We do this.
923.
Okay. We're going to get rid of one of your E's there, Tomas.
Oh,
900.
900. cientos, 23.
23, right?
Y
Okay.
tres. Okay.
We only want an E where that last number place is higher than a 0. 923. 923. Perfecto. Okay. We're going to do 2 examples here. Well, actually, a couple with the thousands, a couple. 1,000 is, or 1,900. 1,900. Notice no E, because my last placeholder here and the number is a 0. I don't have a need for an E anywhere. 1,900, 1,900. How about 1,500, 1,500? ¿Cómo se dice 1,500?
1500.
1,500. 1,500. Let's look at 2,200.
2200.
2,000. 200, perfecto. 2,200, 2,200. And you see that 8,800 would be 8,800, 8,800. A quick little piece of advice. Let's go back and look at this 1,900. And this is just kind of a sidebar. When we give years, like let's say you're taking a tour and they tell you this building was built in 1900. You know, a lot of times on tours, they tell you when a certain building was built or when a certain famous person lived in this place or something like that. When we reference years, they will look like this 1,900 number. When we in English say years, we'll say 1900 or 1910, 1950. You can't do 1950 as a year in Spanish. So if you hear them saying a year, it will be the full number in thousands and hundreds. 1900. Okay. If you give somebody your birth date, like if I had talked about somebody being born in 1995, okay, 1995 would be 1995. What a mouthful. 1995. That's 1995. But they can't say it as 1995. They have to say it as a full long number. 1995. Para que sepan, just so you know. You may not, sí, dime.
Pardon. When we use numbers like for an address, so if you were giving a cabbie, do the numbers stay masculine or would they be feminine?
Oh,
or does
stay masculine. Yeah.
stay masculine?
Oh, yeah, I would. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, and give them as the hundreds or, what it may ever be. And if you give it as single digits, that, if it's a long number, that, I generally won't be that long, but yeah.
I'll just write it on a piece of paper.
Well, so the cabbie can see it. That might actually be wise, just because I personally don't have a mind for numbers. So, for me to memorize a number, it's not so good. Maybe cabbies are excellent with that. A lot of times they are, but yeah, it never hurts to write it down for them, just that you make sure you're getting to the right place. Okay. Excelente. Vamos a practicar un poquito más. We're going to practice just a little bit more, but in a different way. We're going to take a look at some prices. Ooh, and we're going to take a look at some pricey stuff. Oh, the stuff that my husband loves to look at this stuff. No tengo ningún interés. I have no interest in this stuff, but my husband loves this stuff. Okay. Herramientas, tools. Okay, let's take a look at some prices. I'm going to ask cuesta? ¿Cuánto cuesta means how much does it cost? ¿Cuánto is the how much word, right? Cuesta is the does it cost? Cuesta means it costs a certain amount. ¿Cuánto cuesta? I'm circling my cursor around here. I hope you can see my arrow, okay? ¿Cuánto cuesta? How much does this set cost?
40.
Sí.
149.
Exacto. Ciento cuesta. It costs. So I would answer cuesta 149. Bueno, ¿cuánto cuesta? How much does this cost?
Dos-
200.
Sí,
Sesenta.
center.
200.
Centers.
60.
69. Bueno,
9.
¿cuánto cuesta?
300.
300.
40.
49.
Y 9. Bien, bien, bien. Ah, muy grande, really big. ¿Cuánto cuesta? ¿Cuánto cuesta?
Cuesta
700.
700.
700.
78.
78.
778. 778. Vale, magnífico. ¿Cuánto cuesta? How much does this one cost?
800.
898. 898. Perfecto, perfecto. Ok. Vale, un momentito. Vamos a buscar. Vamos a buscar esta página aquí. ¿Cuánto cuestan? ¿Cuánto cuestan? A ver, we're not going to take the higher. Aquí. Esto aquí a la izquierda, the one on the far left, a la izquierda. And it'll, now this, don't look at the red, look at this one here. ¿Cuánto cuesta?
300.
347.
Perfecto. 347. Muy bien. This is the bad one that breaks the pattern. It is very keen. It is very keen.
500.
500.
500.
49.
Sí, 549. 549. Aquí, here, this one here. 500. 99. 599. 599. Perfecto, perfecto. A ver. Aquí, aquí. ¿Cuánto cuesta? ¿Cuánto cuesta? A la izquierda, on the left.
Cuesta 439.
Excelente. 400. 39. 39. We're going back to something that's very, very keen. Una estufa. We've got a stove here. Una estufa. ¿Cuánto cuesta?
Cuesta 500.
500.
29.
29. 529. 529. Excelente. Vamos a ver. We're going to go to some harder ones at the top here. ¿Cuánto cuesta? 1,500.
1500.
500.
99.
99.
Sí, 1599. 1599. Fantástico. Oh, 2099.
2000.
2000.
99.
99. Sí. Okay, so if again, I'm going to use this 2099 as an example. If somebody's talking about a calendar year and they want to say this current calendar year, 2021, 2000, because it's 2000, 2021, the year 2000, 2000, en el año 2000, okay? Or you may hear the year 2000 referenced as el 2000, just el 2000, skipping the word año, el año 2000. So, okay, vale, magnífico. Bien, ¿alguna pregunta? Any question on those numbers? You know, no, nada, okay, vale. I may give you, if I can find a little verbal in the recap, something to do a little bit with numbers, I will maybe give you something just as an extra practice there. Okay. A ver. Any question on those? Sí or no? Any question on those? No? Nada. Okay. Vale. And of course, to get really fast at it, it's a matter of a lot of listening and a lot of practice. A lot of listening and a lot of practice. That is what it takes, and a lot of repetition. I do want to move on to adjectives. That would be a good thing to do. I had given you, and I'm going to share just what they look like so that it'll jog your memory in case you've got questions. I had asked you to watch 2 videos. One was just colors. And both of these videos were really about adjectives, even though it says los colores. How we change words how we change words to use as descriptions. So how we change adjectives in the right forms to talk about descriptions, okay? Because adjectives do change forms, okay? So your introduction to any adjective at all was actually done through the mode of using colors, okay? But because colors are a very obvious adjective, they describe the color of something. They describe a color that you see, okay? And a color is very obviously a description. And we have colors that end in O's, which follow one pattern, and colors that don't end in O's, which follow another pattern. So what I want to show you here is that this video very, very consciously segregated adjectives that end in O. All the colors that end in a letter O means that that O might become a letter A. Okay, if we're using that color and we're describing a feminine thing, and they represented this by putting a little skirt, it's the bathroom icon, yeah? Putting a little skirt on. So anaranjado with an O at the end, if it's describing a feminine thing, becomes anaranjada, right? Amarillo becomes amarilla. Rojo becomes roja. Rosado becomes rosada. Morado, purple, becomes morada, right? Negro becomes negra. Oh, we got to skip gris because gris doesn't end in an O. All right. Blanco becomes blanca. So any adjective, and they use colors as a vehicle, a mode to teach this. Any adjective that ends in an O will have a corresponding feminine form, right? The noun, the thing you are talking about, it determines every other word around it. So if a noun, person, place, or thing is masculine, the things that refer back to it, descriptions, the things that talk about that noun, will have to be in a masculine form. But if that noun, person, place, or thing is a feminine noun, then all the words that talk about that noun must also be in a feminine form. This is very hard for people who have English as a first language to get used to. Really hard. Okay. See.
I had confusion with the word tie, which is, I believe, called corbata.
Corbata.
So it ends with A, but tie is worn by men. So I'm not sure I should put la or L.
I have heard this question so many times because almost everybody gets used to it. They say, but a man wears it. It doesn't matter. Okay, so here's the thing. That word tie, it doesn't matter who wears the article. It doesn't matter who wears the tie. A woman could wear that tie. You could put that tie in a statue, right? Drape it around the statue. You're decorating for Christmas. The tie is a thing. The tie is a noun. It is an article of clothing. And it is a feminine word, tie, corbata. So everything that talks about tie will go into the form that tie is in. La corbata is feminine. Es un sustantivo femenino. It is a feminine noun. So la corbata roja, la corbata azul, well, azul doesn't change form. La corbata negra, if it's a black tie. Yeah, we talk about black ties. Yeah, la corbata negra. It doesn't matter that a man wears it. The article itself, the article of clothing itself, that thing that is a tie is a noun. And that noun is a feminine gender noun. Okay, now this leads into vestido, the word for dress, is a masculine word. A woman wears a dress. But the thing that we call dress, it is a thing. And that article of clothing, that piece of clothing, happens to be a masculine word, vestido. So even though a woman wears a dress, the word dress, vestido, is masculine. See, Tomás.
Oh my goodness. I thought that if you said she is wearing a dress, so then it will change to vestida.
No.
No?
Oh, no. Okay, so here's the difference. Vestido, dress, is not a description. A dress is not a description. Dress is a thing. So it is in the category of words we call nouns.
Yeah.
A noun is a person or a place or a thing. And a dress is a thing. And that thing in Spanish falls into the masculine camp, not feminine, but masculine. So it doesn't matter who wears it. It doesn't matter who uses it. I could say, por ejemplo, Susie's car. My friend Susie, she has a car. But if she owns the car, the word car, even though she drives it, even though her name is on the register, she owns that car. The word car, it is a masculine thing. Carro, el carro de Susana. It is always going to be el carro, no matter who owns it, no matter who gets into it to drive off and go somewhere, right? Una camisa, a shirt. It is always a feminine thing. It doesn't matter if a man or a woman is wearing it. It is a feminine noun.
And don't you mostly know that because that ends in A, just like tie?
You know it because that thing, camisa, ends in an A. Exacto, exactly right. And we know vestido ends in an O. So it doesn't matter who wears it. It is a thing, vestido, a dress, and it ends in O. It's a masculine thing. Does that make sense to you now? Or it may not make sense, but
How would you say he's wearing or she's wearing a red dress?
she's wearing a red dress. Ella lleva un vestido rojo.
Oh, okay. I thought it will be vestida roja.
No, we can't, we do not change. Actually, that is a very good question. We do not change the gender of the thing. Whoever wears it is unimportant. The person who wears it is of zero importance. The thing that is worn, it is still a noun of by itself. By itself. So who owns it, or who uses it, or who wears it makes no difference. It
Luckily,
stays what it is. See,
now you have-
Hillary.
You have non-binary, so now it would be so confusing. You would not even know what to do.
Well,
Luckily-
Hillary, that is qué excelente pregunta. What an excellent question that is. That is something that will become a fact. It is starting to become a factor
Yeah.
with the younger generation, but not with things, but with people.
No, but that's what I was
Yeah.
saying. Luckily, the things are not affected because we wouldn't know how to say it.
That is a really, really hard thing for the gurus,
Yeah,
for the old gray-haired men, because that's who governs this stuff. There is a group of old guys, literally,
Yeah.
a group of old guys who makes up the rules.
yeah,
They do.
I
They're
know.
called La Real Academia Española, REA, R-E-A. That's the name of the group. And literally, it's a group of old guys from every single country that speaks Spanish, and they get together like once or twice a year to like knock about the, like they'll knock about, is it okay to borrow this word from English? Or do we use our own Spanish word and say, damned you people who try to use the English, And so they make up all the rules. So here is the flat fact of what happens. That group actually this year did say, we're not recognizing non-binary. But the fact of the matter is, whatever happens with the general populace, if a high percentage of the general populace starts saying something one way, they will change it eventually. It may take years.
In French, they've because it's the same. They have il, elle for he and she. They put them together into one pronoun, il. So instead of they have a new pronoun.
Has French blessed that?
Well, they have the same. They have the same organization as in Spain, so I don't think so. But everyone's using it, so I think they have to pretty soon.
Yeah. Well, see, and that is what
As
is
you
going to
say.
happen.
Yeah.
Exactly. That is what winds up happening, is that whatever people are doing the most, they're going to do.
Yeah.
And so someday, for human beings, it probably will change. For things like dress, and that, not so much. I mean, that is just kind of ingrained, and but for human beings, that will happen, and it is starting to happen now. And how much of that is accepted as a standard use or not often depends on the age of the person. The 20-somethings start doing something and they're like, we don't care what you old people do. That's the way they are, we don't care, man. So anyway, but that doesn't go away that these things are masculine and feminine. These things these non-living, non-breathing things still do fall into those categories of masculine and feminine. So we've got all these categorizations. So they
Wait,
gave us these. Oh, sí, perdón,
pardon.
Tomás.
So I wanted to run an example. I'm using color and a feminine, and I just tengo un bicicleta verde y un bicicleta roja.
Perfecto, Tomás.
Right. So
Bicicleta.
the bicycle is feminine, but verde can't change, and roja changes when I go to red.
Right.
But it's still
Exacto.
one bike is green, one bike is red.
Exacto. And we're going to see examples of things like this. Something, a masculine thing that belongs to a female. It doesn't matter that belongs to a female, right? The thing that is owned, you know, this ring is the word for ring, el anillo. It is masculine. Doesn't matter that I'm wearing it and I'm not masculine. It is a masculine thing. It doesn't matter that it belongs to a female. We go by the thing.
Repeat your sentence, please, CJ.
Sí.
So tengo un bicicleta verde y un bicicleta roja.
Una bicicleta roja. I've got a green bike and a red bike. And the word bicicleta, or, you know, a lot of people shorten that, Tomás, bici. A lot of people shorten bicicleta because it's a long word to bici. Tengo una bici verde, and verde is one of the words that stays the same. We're going to take a look at that in just a little bit. Y una bici roja. Y una bici roja. And a red bike.
Thank you.
And you know what, Tomás? Probably what would happen is you would get rid of the second use of BC. You would probably, just to make it shorter, because somebody would understand you mean bike again, right? They'd say una bici verde y una roja. Una roja.
Una roja.
A red one. Y una roja.
Got it.
Just because
I've already introduced the
you
noun.
already know you're talking about bikes. Like we would say, I have a green bike and a red one instead of a red bike. That's the same thing. Same thing.
And BC would be BICI, right?
BICI.
You're just dropping letter off.
We're just chopping the word in half. Yeah. Bicicleta. Bicicleta is a great big long word. And just like we say bike, not bicycle. Yeah, they shortens a lot of words just like we shorten, well, not a lot, some. They shorten some words just like we shorten some words to make them quicker to say and all of that. Okay.
Gracias.
De nada. Okay, so let's take a quick look. And you're going to see lots more examples of things that belong to females, but maybe they're not a feminine thing. Okay, you'll see these in examples. I'm just kind of going through how they segmented this to show you, the words. I'm trying to get this down. And of course, yeah. They had it all. My wonderful chart was so much easier. Okay. Let's do the whole chart. And here she gave you plurals, right? Because we might have plural forms of adjectives. So, okay, cut to the chase. Adjectives are not things. This is a thing. This is a thing. This is a thing. This is my vet appointment for shots for the cats. This, you know, these are things. These are things. They're things, right? People and things and places, like a store, like an office. They're places. They're all things. They're nouns, okay? So the noun is the governing, it rules, it governs, it determines all the words that talk about that noun. So the words for the, or they have to match up with the noun they talk about. The words that are descriptions have to match up the noun they talk about. Okay. It is you have to match up gender and number. The magic things are gender, meaning masculine and feminine, and number, meaning is it singular or plural. So the noun, all the words that talk about that noun have to be in the same form as the noun they talk about. Thing, 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 but adjectives, words like blue, red, green, orange, yellow, they are descriptions. Descriptions are what we call adjectives. So all those adjectives have to go into a form that matches up with the thing they talk about, the noun they describe. Okay, so when she gave you this chart up here first, I gotta get to my original chart. Here we go. Here's our original chart. Well, we minus our blanco. Here we go. Now we got the whole chart. All the words that end in O, anaranjado, amarillo, rojo, blanco, negro, morado, rosado. Adjectives, descriptive words, any descriptive word, not just colors, any description at all. Tall, fat, skinny, clean, dirty, hey, anything that's a describing word. If that describing word, that adjective ends in an O, it will go off into a feminine form, a, right? And we'll make it plural by just tagging on an S if we need to make it plural. Okay. Adjectives, descriptive words that do not end in O. Like azul has L as the last letter, right? Verde has E as the last letter. Marrón has N as the last letter. Gris has S as the last letter. If the last letter of the describing word, the adjective, is not an O, then I use the same word for masculine and feminine. Yay. So azul can be used for el libro azul, the blue book, or la camisa azul. Azul does not go into masculine or feminine. It is both. Verde is same form for masculine, same form for feminine, verde. Marrón is the same form for masculine, the same form for feminine, okay? I might have to make those words plural, right? Plural is easy. Azul becomes azules, E-S. Verde, I just tag on an S, verdes, right? Marrón, marrones. So it's the same rule you use for add an S, like a vowel, just add S. A consonant, just add ES, okay? Azules, always azules. Verdes, always verdes. Marrones, always marrones. Grises, always grises. ES and ES tagged on to the end, okay? Quick word of quashing. This word marrón is a word of contention. It is a regional word. Marrón is what they use in Spain for brown. Marrón is used a lot in Colombia. In Mexico, they do not use this word marrón very much. Oh, they know what it means. But the word they prefer for brown is café. Same word as coffee. Café, or as an alternate, color de café. Color de café, color of coffee. Color de café, or just café. In Mexico, that is the preferred word for brown, but people will use different words for brown depending on where they live. I can't tell you why, it's just what they do. It's an oddity. It is what happens. Okay. Bien. Okay. Aside from that, did that make sense to you that we change these forms?
Yes.
Okay. Vale, magnifico. Great. So we're going to do a little quick drill. If I can find my. ¿Dónde está? Aquí está. Here it is. Here it is. Same format. And I will send this to you so you can see it. And, you know, if you print it, you'd have to have a color printer. So, okay, sorry about that. Anyway, this has got just a repeat and it gives you all the different forms. So you can see how all those forms change out. Yeah, you can see how they're spelled out. We're going to see if we can do this. And some of this is a little bit funky because it requires that you know what flags look like. Uh-oh. Unless you pay a lot attention to the Olympics a lot, you look at flags, you know, you might not know. Okay. La bandera. La bandera means a flag. La bandera de Francia. Okay. When I'm describing la bandera de Francia just tells whose flag it is. It is not a US flag. It's a French flag. So think of the colors in the French flag. La bandera, we're describing bandera, a feminine thing. Oh,
Roja.
Es azul, blanca y roja. Azul, because we use the same one, masculine, feminine, right? Azul, blanca y roja. Azul, blanca y roja. Those all have to be feminine words because they are describing bandera, a flag. That thing, bandera, is a feminine thing. It just is. It ends in an a, bandera. It is a feminine thing. Okay. La bandera de Alemania. Alemania es Germany. Ooh, this is a harder one. A lot of us don't necessarily know the colors in German. Negra, amarilla,
Roja.
y roja.
Oh, red.
Sí, y roja. La bandera, a feminine thing. La bandera de Alemania es negra, amarilla y roja. Perfecto. Okay, this one is tricky. La bandera de Estados Unidos, US flag, tiene, it has. Estrellas are stars. Blancas, perfecto. Now I'm not describing the flag, I'm describing stars. There are 50 stars, therefore there's more than one. Estrellas is a feminine word and it's plural. So to say white stars, it is estrellas blancas.
Blancas.
Bien? Okay, that's a hard one. Next one's an easy one. Los tomates son
Rojos.
rojos. Los tomates son rojos. Okay. Now look, in English, we say tomatoes are red. Literally in Spanish, you are saying those, because it's more than one. Tomatoes are reds. Literally, that's what you're doing. Thus, tomatoes are reds. We don't do that in English, but they do in Spanish. Los tomates son rojos. Okay. Homer Simpson es amarillo. He's yellow. He just is. Okay. Now, cuidado, careful. Pelo means this. This is pelo, guys. Pelo, oh, el pelo de Marge Simpson. Marge Simpson's hair. Marge Simpson is known for having blue hair.
Azul.
Es azul. But that word azul does not look at Marge Simpson. Azul looks at the word it's describing, pelo. And if that word is masculine, that's what we have to look at for the describing word. It's like that example of a dress. A woman wears a dress, but it doesn't matter that a woman wears a dress. The word dress itself is masculine. So Yeah. Who wears it is a non-issue, right? Okay. Okay, now, el pelo de Marge Simpson es azul, and Smurfs are a beloved character in Europe. Here, not so much. And they call them los pitufos. Los pitufos is the word they use in Spain for Smurfs. Their comic characters son
Azules.
azules. They're little blue guys. And because all these little cartoon characters are blue people, son azules. ES at the end, son azules. Bien? Okay. Let's look at this one. El chocolate. Chocolate comes in
Blanco.
Cafe.
Negro.
blanco y
Cafe.
well, yeah, sí, depende. Now, blanco o café, or if you don't like to use the word café, marrón, right? Brown or white chocolate, right? El chocolate es blanco o marrón, or you can say blanco o café. You can even say blanco o color de café. You can say it any of those ways. They are all acceptable. Pepinos, cucumbers, son
Blanco.
Verde.
Verdes.
Verdes.
verdes. Yeah, that outside when we buy them, they're not peeled yet. So verdes, son verdes. El carbón, coal. El carbón es
Es negro.
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 negro. Bien. La leche, no, la leche es
Blanca.
Blanca.
blanca. Bien. La sangre, blood. La sangre es
Roja.
roja. Bien? Okay. So that was a quickie drill. The adjective, the descriptive word must be in a form that matches up with the thing it talks about, the noun it talks about. Okay. The other odd thing is sometimes this issue of where adjectives go. We say the red cars, the tall boys. They say the boys tall. Most, not 100%, most adjectives follow the noun they talk about. This is the opposite of what we do in English. Most. Okay, so this video talked about that situation, right? We say a beautiful house. So look over to the right. Maria tiene una casa bonita. Maria has a house pretty. Well, that's the correct word order in Spanish. Maria tiene una casa bonita. Su casa es grande y moderna. Her house is big and modern. Okay, but casa bonita, house pretty, that's the right order. We say pretty or beautiful house. Okay. Most adjectives follow or come after the noun in Spanish. The ones that don't, the adjectives that come in front of a noun are words like this, that, these, those, or words that talk about an amount. Perdón, like a lot. Muchos chicos. Many boys. Many just gives you a general idea of like a general quantity of boys, right? Muchos chicos. So words like muchos that talk about amounts, they will come in front. Or words that talk about this, that, these, those, they'll come in front. But real descriptions that talk about the form, the color, how something tastes, how something sounds, how something looks, those will come after the nouns they describe. And that is a tough thing to get used to in English. It will take you hearing a bunch of different examples. You know, it's just the way they talk with that. So let's look at some real actual examples. unos ejemplos. Aquí vamos. Here we go. We're going to take some adjectives they used in your book and pair them up with some fotos. Ideas opuestas. We've got some opposite ideas with adjectives. We're going to take the word expensive and cheap. Expensive and cheap are descriptions. They're not colors, but they're still descriptions. So they're adjectives. And they're going to look at the word carro, car, a masculine thing. Un Ferrari es caro, is expensive. Un Kia es barato. A Kia is inexpensive, cheap. Yeah. Inexpensive, cheap, doesn't cost a lot. Okay. Un edificio alto. A tall building. Un edificio bajo.
Low.
Short.
Short.
Tall, alto. Short in stature. Short in height. Bajo. Bajo. Bien. A ver. Un nuevo zapato. A new shoe. Doesn't matter, it's a woman's shoe. Zapato ends in an O. It's a masculine thing. Un nuevo zapato. Son zapatos viejos. These are old shoes. And now because I've got more than one shoe, zapatos, I need, yeah, viejos. Viejos. Nuevo, viejo. Nuevo, viejo. Okay. Now we're going to talk about not tall in height, but length of clothing. Length of clothing. Okay. Los pantalones cortos. Los pantalones cortos. Shorts. Pantalones. Well, you got two legs in them, so it's a plural word. Los pantalones. So this word, saying that they don't go all the way to the floor, is cortos. It's got to be plural as well. Los son pantalones cortos. They're shorts. Their pants short. Yeah. Son pantalones largos. Son pantalones largos. No son pantalones grandes. They're not necessarily big. They're just long. Oh, that word largo looks suspiciously like an English word, but it doesn't mean large. Yeah. Largo does not mean large. It looks a lot like large. You would think, ooh, that should be one of those cognate words, but it's not. Largo means long, long in length. Okay. Largo. It does not mean large. Grandes is the way you would say large or big, like a large size. Yeah. Grande. Large size is grande. Bien. A ver. Es una habitación grande. It's a big room. Habitación, a feminine word. Oh, grande ends in an E. So it is the same for masculine, same for feminine. It's always grande, right? Es una habitación grande. Habitación happens to be a feminine word. Now if I use, okay, so the word for big, the word for big is grande, ends in an E. I don't need a masculine, feminine form. But this word here, I need to pay attention to masculine, feminine form because it normally ends in an O, right? Pequeño means small in size. Es una habitación pequeña. Now I need to take that word pequeño and change it into pequeña because pequeña is the feminine form. It matches up with the word habitación, a feminine word. The ción makes it a feminine word. una habitación pequeña, a small room. And habitación is generally what a lot of hotels will use to refer to their rooms. Habitación. Okay? But habitación, feminine word, grande, pequeña. Now I need a feminine form.
If it was masculine, would it be pequeño?
It would. So let's take a look at that. Let's say, because I can do it with this word, instead of habitación, I can use the word cuarto. It's a synonym. It is interchangeable with the word habitación. We can use cuarto instead of habitación. It is okay to do that. Es un cuarto grande. Grande stays the same no matter what the gender is, right? But es un cuarto pequeño. Now I need pequeño. If I use cuarto, I need the word to change into pequeño. Es un cuarto pequeño. Bien? Make sense? See? We do not do this in English ever. So this is really, really tough for people who speak English. Es una calle estrecha. Estrecha. Estrecha means
Narrow.
narrow. Estrecha. I know it sounds like stretch, but it's not. It's this direction. Estrecha. Es una calle estrecha. Es una calle estrecha. Calle is a feminine word. You just have to know that. But you know, you hear una. So there's a clue. Una calle estrecha. Estrecha must be a feminine form. Let's talk about la calle, una calle. But if it is instead of estrecha, this way, it is called ancha. Ancha es una calle ancha. It's a wide street. Ancha.
Calle means road.
Calle means street. Street. Let's take a look at this. We're going to use a word that isn't street, but it's going to flip-flop into a different gender. We're going to use, instead of the word street, the word road. Are a street and a road basically pretty similar things? Pretty much. People walk and drive down them. Yeah, they are ways of getting around in a city, a road. But the word road, camino, is not la calle, it's el camino. So if we change this noun to calle into camino, that word estrecha would also change. Es un camino
Estrecho.
Estrecho.
estrecho. Okay. And if we changed es un camino and we make it
Ancho.
wide,
Ancho.
ancho,
Ancho.
ancho, ancho. Exacto. Exactly right. Okay. And if we talk about plural things, that adjective will also have to be plural. Son zapatos muy estrechos. These are really
Narrow.
Narrow.
narrow shoes, right? Son zapatos anchos. These are
Wide.
wide shoes. If you buy shoes, estrechos, anchos, okay. Bien, okay. Es una ciudad bonita. It is a pretty city. Es un barrio feo. It's an ugly neighborhood. I want to pause here for a moment. This word feo, thinking with, I don't know if I want to say English. Maybe it's an American thing instead of an English thing. We think of that word ugly as being pretty kind of a strong, boy, ugly is a negative connotation. If ever you find a word in English that isn't a connotation that is got a bad side to it, it is the word ugly. Ugly, yeah, ugly. This word feo is used to describe lots of things in Spanish, right? And the word feo is used a lot more. And to an American mind, it can sound kind of strong, like, whoa, that's negative, but it's used actually quite a lot, you know, to say that a situation is all messed up, to describe, like if you walk out onto the street and there's a traffic jam and it's a mess, you know, cars everywhere, they're all honking their horns. It's uy, que feo. What an ugly situation this is. People will use that word feo to describe all kinds of things because they're meaning, wow, this is a bad scene, guys. This is bad. So, yeah, feo. Bien? Vale, magnífico.
And is barrio neighborhood or what's barrio?
Barrio's neighborhood, right. Barrio's neighborhood. So barrio ends in an O. Therefore, this feo has to go into, it has to follow that word barrio into a masculine form, okay? That word feo must follow where that word barrio takes it. Barrio takes it into the masculine form. Barrio takes it into the singular masculine form. So it needs to be feo. Bien?
So if it's feminine, is it fea?
Sí, exacto. Sí, I can say es una calle fea. Es una calle fea. It's an ugly street.
You say bad apple is fea manzana.
Una manzana fea? You could say that.
Una
Una manzana fea. Una manzana podrida. Yeah, that's a rotted looking apple. Sí. Bien. And they do have the word for bad, you know, malo, mala. Mala. Bien. Excelente. I am going to send you, I've got to find where this is. ¿Dónde está? Ay, a ver. Eso no. I will send you this. And I think I'm going to tell you, only take a look at the first 10. And I mean it when I say look at the first 10. I want you to look at the first 10. I will send you the link to this and see if you can change the word in parentheses into the right form. So we need to look at what is importante describing. It is describing escuela. What is simpático, nice, describing? It is describing chicas. We have to look at the thing or the person that this word in parentheses is describing to get it into the correct form.
What's escuela?
Escuela is a school.
Oh.
Escuela is a school. Chicas are girls. Marge Simpson, we can kind of forget that one, but yeah, plumas are pens, an ink vessel to write with, a pen. Libros, books. Carros, and I'm just giving a brand name there. Papas fritas are French fries. French fries. Chicos are boys, chicas are girls. Estudiantes are students. Look at this one, 11. La mujer rubia. La mujer rubia. Rubia is blonde. La mujer rubia is the blonde woman. La mujer rubia es, and she's German. And that one follows a special rule. So that's why I tell you to stop at 10. There are a couple things here that break some rules. Actually, you know what I think I may tell you guys? Do 1 through 15 instead. Do 1 through 15 and omit number 11.
Mhm.
Omit number 11, because that is a special case, and we'll talk about it next week, Tuesday. ¿Está bien? We good with that?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Bien. I will see. I think I've got maybe another adjective video I can send you so you hear more examples. The more examples you hear being used in the normal way they are used, the more helpful it is. So I will send those. I will send the link for this. ¿Hay alguna pregunta? Is there any question about adjectives? No? Okay.
Great.
Not easier than verbs.
Okay, yeah, and actually I'm gonna give you a couple of videos to look at on how verbs change too. So I wanted to preview that for just a quick minute before we take off. Tomas, you had a question.
I had an example because you were asking us to describe our homes. Yeah. So.
Oh, and I forgot to get to that. Perdón, I'm sorry.
But that's okay. I want to go with the sentence one way, and then I'm going to add color, the same thing at the end, because I'm trying to figure out the adjective portion. So,
Muy bien.
mi casa tiene un piso de palados. So I'm trying to say my house has tile floor. And if I wanted to say mi casa tiene un piso de palados brown tile floor. Do I put maroon at the end?
You would.
Okay.
Yes, you would. Now, I'm looking this up so I can get this in a form that is easy for you to read. And see if, okay. Here we go. Okay. I want to show you something because this will be kind of confusing. If you want to, and we will, gracias, thank you for doing this because we're running out of time. Bring back your ideas on describing your house. We'll open with a description of a house next week, Tuesday. And then we'll go into your descriptions of a house, okay? I want to show you this because this shows you how sometimes the word tile can be really, really confusing. Generally, for a tile on the floor, this is the word that you hear, baldosa. It would be hard for you to know that. A tile you put on the wall, like in your bathroom wall, or a tile that you put on the wall in your kitchen as like a backsplash, that generally is like azulejo. Azulejo. But if you want to talk about the tiles that you walk on the floor, here's the word that you generally use, baldosa.
Now I said plural, so a bit, which would be baldosas.
Baldosas.
And then I would have to say marunas if I at the end, if
and
I
now
want brown
you need
top.
right, marrones.
Marunas. So it's plural, and the baldosas is plural.
Right.
Okay.
And feminine.
And feminine.
Right.
Baldosas, marrones. Marrones doesn't really,
Right.
it just becomes plural. Yeah,
Right.
it
It
doesn't
just
become
becomes
feminine.
plural.
Baldosas, sí. Baldosas marrones. Baldosas marrones. Sí, exacto.
Baldosas marrones.
Wait, does maroon, is it AS at the end or ES?
ES at the end. Sí. ES at the
You have
end.
to change it to an AS?
No. Okay. So let me.
Because maroon is both. Okay, got it.
Marron is both. So let me give you some things, some descriptions that would be both. Both meaning I don't need to change it into a separate form for feminine because it's important for you to know, right?
Because it didn't end in a,
adjectives, if they end in the letter O,
then it's A.
then you need masculine, feminine, singular, and plural, right? Adjectives, if they don't end in O. So if they're any other letter, if they're any other letter, if they don't end in O, masculine and feminine are the same.
Just have to change the
Only-
singular and plural.
Yeah, just make plural if needed. Okay, so I'm going to give you some examples of words like that. You know, rojo is the really, really easy one to figure out. Roja, perdón, roja, rojos, and rojas.
Rojas.
But let's say we've got a word like fácil. Wait. Got a touchpad that's fácil. Fácil means easy. Fácil is a description, easy, right? Fácil. It does not end in O. So I might say, es un libro fácil, right? Es un libro fácil. Or I might say,
That's nice.
es una lección fácil. No difference in that word fácil. The last letter of fácil is not an O. So I use the same word fácil for masculine, the same word fácil for feminine. Okay, let's make it plural. Now, plural, I need to think a little bit harder. Okay,
Los.
son unos libros fáciles. I have to add an ES to make that plural because it's a consonant, L. Son unas lecciones fáciles.
Sí.
There you go. I have fácil, and going into plural, it becomes fáciles. Bien?
Bien.
Fácil,
Bien.
fáciles. But sometimes I get an adjective that does not end in O, like imposible. Imposible. Still, the last letter is an E. That's not O. So this will be the same, imposible, for masculine and feminine. We'll just make it plural, right? La chica es imposible. She is behaving in a troublesome way. She is a difficult child. Yeah. Bien. Las chicas son imposibles.
Imposibles.
Here, I only had to add an S onto the end, right? Because I have a vowel for imposible at the end. So I just tag on an S to make it plural. Here, it had to be an ES because I got this letter L at the end. Everything is very, very phonetic with Spanish, right? Imposible already ends in an E, so I just tag on an S. Here I have to tag on an ES, which is the same thing that you did with nouns that end in consonants. Same exact thing. Bien?
Bien.
Help? Okay.
Bien.
Yeah. They're very, very, very phonetically driven. It's just the way they run. Okay. Bien? Okay. Otra pregunta. Any other question before we end up for today? I am going to send you off into the world of looking at verbs, the big bad world of verbs. So what I am going to send you is 2 really good videos that talk about verbs. There are 3 kinds of verbs in Spanish, 3 categories of verbs, 3, perhaps we could say, classifications of verbs. And what I want you to do is you're going to skip a particular chapter in your book, you're going to skip chapter 6. You're going to look at chapter 7. It's called Everyday Life. It's got a little doggy on the opposite page. And you're going to look at chapter 7, capítulo 7. You're going to look at chapter 7. They're going to talk about AR verbs and ER verbs and IR verbs. Those are the 3 categories of verbs. We call verbs, just as a kind of a precursor kind of thing here, folks. I can tell you that we have things in English called infinitives. And that means we use the word to in front of that basic verb form. To walk, to walk, to talk, to eat, to sleep, right? Any activity, any action that somebody does, we put the word to in front of it. And these are called infinitives. That's just what we call them. An infinitive is a basic verb. It tells you what the action is, but it tells you nothing about who is doing it, okay? So the infinitive is like the basic verb form, but we never say, I to walk to work. We to walk to the park. Nobody talks that way, right? So in English, we change those words walk to I walk, you walk. We take off the to. I walk, you walk, but he walks. Those are the forms we use in English. They are called conjugations, even in English. I talk, you talk, we talk, but she talks. I eat, you eat, we eat, but she eats with an S at the end. I sleep, you sleep, they sleep, but she or he sleeps. And those are the only 2 conjugations we have for present tense in English. But in Spanish, you're going to get 5, 6 if you're in Spain. You're going to get 5 different forms, just like you had soy, eres, es, somos, and son. You're going to get 5 different forms for each verb. And what form they take depends on if that infinitive, the to sleep, to eat word, is an AR ending infinitive or an ER ending infinitive or an IR ending infinitive. So chapter 7 is going to talk about what those 3 categories are. The 3 kinds of infinitives in Spanish. In Spanish, we use the word to, but excuse me, in English, we use the word to, but in Spanish, they will be AR verbs because the ending is AR, hablar, to speak. Or they'll be ER verbs because the ending is ER, comer, to eat. Or they'll be IR verbs because they end in IR, like vivir, to live. So all infinitives, all action words, all words that describe activities, end in either an AR or end in an ER or end in an IR. And AR verbs will follow one kind of a pattern. ER and IR verbs follow a second pattern, and they split off and use something different in one instance, but not the others. ER and IRs verbs will mainly share a lot of the same forms, except when you get to the we form. The we form, they'll split off and do their own thing. ER verbs will do one thing, IR verbs will do the other. But in all the other forms, they will share forms, ER and IR verbs. And the video is going to show you this with the chart, like you got used to the chart with estar, the chart with ser. And the 2 videos are going to really helpful showing you how that works. In practice, doing that will really take a lot of practice. If it feels easy for you, then it's because you already know French or German or some other language. If it doesn't feel easy, it's because you know English, and that's it. So what I'm telling you is that if you are a native English speaker, it will feel really weird, and that is a normal thing to feel weird about it. Okay, If you already know like quite a bit of Italian or Spanish or excuse me, Italian or French or German, oh, it's like that other, yeah, it'll feel a little more normal because you say, oh yeah, French does this. Oh yeah, German does this. Oh yeah, Italian does this. So English is the outlier that has very few conjugations. So, okay, we'll leave it with that. See, bien?
Bien.
Can I ask one question?
Absolutamente.
To sign up for the next November, Monday, 9:30 class, what, do you know the name of the website for Scottsdale? Do you know the name?
I
of
can
it?
find that